the royal family, after 6 days, has finally acknowledged that the murderous rampage being conducted by a bunch of cowards with machine guns who went for families and babies and little old ladies in their homes, not military installations, families, finally acknowledged that they're terrorists. Took them 6 days. Before that, when one of their loyal servants was accused of being not very nice to a woman in a cocktail party, well, a reception, oh, they were very quick to throw her under the bus, weren't they? Anyway, the royal family have told the world that they think Hamas are terrorists. Okay, good. Now, when are the BBC going to acknowledge that? I'm Granniopteryx. Okay, I am about to go to the dentist, so this has to be really quick. Who wants to be late for the dentist? And I want to tell you about something that I just found. I don't even have time to set up the page on the Telegraph page on the side of my video. So I'm just reading from my phone, and I'll put the Telegraph page up later when I get back. I'm not sure how able I'd be to talk when I get back. Royals condemn Hamas attacks as terrorism. The royal family has branded Hamas terrorists and said they were appalled. Well, good. Why weren't they quicker on this? Just literally well over into the thousands of Israelis killed now. Why appalled? Right, good. It took them 6 days to acknowledge that. It took them less than 24 hours to throw Lady Hussey under the bus, didn't it? But yeah, thank God for small mercies. They've finally come about. The king condemned the barbaric acts of terrorism. I read about a little old lady, 95 years old, and her Filipino carer. They were broken into and shot. Now, I don't know, I know they shot the little old lady through the head more or less straight away. The Filipino carer, I'm not so sure how lucky she was before she got the bullet, but who knows? I mean, what do they care whether the object of their desire is dead or alive for all that they're concerned? The king condemned the barbaric acts of terrorism. Their comments came as the BBC faced pressure to change its stance and refer to the proscribed organisation as terrorists rather than militants. About a year ago, maybe a bit longer, there was a group of Jewish teenagers in a bus celebrating the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah, which is, I don't know, I suppose it must have been around November, and they were attacked by a group of young men. I don't know, it seemed to me, but the lighting wasn't good, it seemed to me they were more Middle Eastern than Pakistani, but anyway, there's a whole lot of them. They were attacking the kids took refuge on the bus, the driver couldn't go because of the traffic in Oxford Street. These young men were hammering on the windows of the bus, spitting at them, shouting, well, insults and threats. And finally, the kids got away. Fortunately, at least one of them was videoing what was going on. The BBC report afterwards had a reporter saying that the kids were attacked, but they were shouting racial epithets at those guys outside the bus. Out and out lie, and provable, because the kids were videoing it. We have the soundtrack. All they were doing was shouting at the bus driver to get out of there. Oh, begging the bus driver to get, he couldn't. Out and out lie. And after the Jewish community got together, they had the entire soundtrack isolated and analysed. No sign of any epithets at all, of any sort. And then the BBC changed its webpage, saying they were not that they were shouting epithets, but that one epithet was heard. Liars! But I'd say that approaches anti-Semitism, anti-Semitic lies. And they stuck by it. I don't think they've changed that website. Oh, no, come on. Right. I don't think they've they've changed that website after the one racial epithet, an out and out lie. And they refuse to change it. And I know when I was working in the BBC, things I heard there about Jews. In fact, when I actually approached one of the producers about something particular that she had let through, she made an insult against Jewish people, and then after that, she gave me such a hard time. In the end, I was more or less constructively dismissed. I wish this would stop switching itself off. James Cleverly, the Foreign Secretary, Lucy Fraser, the Culture Secretary, Grant Shapps, the Defence Secretary, have all expressed concern about the BBC's position, and former executives have urged it to change course. It is an absolute pit of anti-Semitism. And not only that, of course, because anti-Semitism comes together with a lot of other things, racism as well, reverse racism. They make allowance for people because, you know, like we all know, they put people who are of colour in some way on their shows. They're not very clever and they're not very funny, but the BBC are boosting them as comedians anyway because of this reverse racism, the soft expectation, the soft bigotry of low expectation, isn't it? It's like that all the time. And then John Simpson, the BBC's World Affairs editor, defended the approach and said that the BBC would be taking sides if it labelled Hamas as terrorists, threatening journalistic impartiality. Okay, so a bunch of guys who go into a kibbutz nursery and machine gun or behead 40 babies and almost wipe out the entire population of the kibbutz, it would be not impartial to refer to them as terrorists. You have to refer to these guys as militants. Not one military target was gone for. They went for unarmed citizens having a lie-in on a Saturday morning. Babies in their nursery. Little old ladies and their Filipino carers. That young woman, I've seen a photo of her, a pretty young girl with her whole life ahead of her. Well, not now. And the royal family have been astonishingly silent. I know Prince Philip wouldn't have been as quiet as that. Anyway, they finally got round to talking about it. What a bunch of lily-livered yellow cowards the British establishment has become. As I said, they're only too happy to throw a loyal servant under the bus, but when it's been described as a pogrom goes on in Israel, we've got to think about that. Kids at a rave, a dance party. Now, what went on there was, indescribable. I've heard some reports, but they're only touching on. Can you imagine young women being raped next to the dead bodies of their friends, and then that's their last views are of some Hamas ugly bastard over them before they're finally put out of their misery. And I got one person under my comments who said, "Oh, they're just muddy." The one photo I showed, one video I showed in one of my videos, that she'd obviously been raped. Oh no, she was just muddy. When you're muddy from sitting on the ground, the rest of your trousers are muddy as well, not just the bit around your bottom. Unfortunately, on Rumble, you can't actually block the person, but what I'm doing now is any time, I've just deleted everything he's written, and I will delete, just in case you're looking in on this, I will not have apologies for this sort of behaviour on my channel. So who's this? Nick Robinson. He wrote, "No one watching the reporting of my BBC colleagues in Israel can have any doubt of the horror of what has happened. I understand entirely why some want the word terrorism used. It is, though, a long-standing practice of BBC, ITV and Sky to report others using that language rather than using it ourselves. I believe you called the IRA terrorists, didn't you? When it was happening here, oh, they were terrorists. When it's happening to a bunch of Jews in Israel, well, actually, not only Jews, when it's happening to people in Israel, Arabs have been killed. Filipinos have been killed. No, but if it's in Israel, yeah, you've got to be neutral. The BBC is an editorially independent broadcaster. The BBC is a bunch of paedophile, sheltering, fashionable, virtue signalling leftists. That's what they are. And the problem with fashionably virtue signalling leftists is that they are also cowards and not very human, by the looks of things. There was another video, I'll play that. It's a girl, this guy, he was a reporter, Jeremy, Joseph, I don't know. Anyway, he was out there at the celebration that the Hamas and pro-Palestine people were holding about the deaths of little old ladies and babies, and he was told by the police to, they were after him. He was told by the police to find, get into a restaurant where they could make a barrier to keep him safe. And he was in there, and there was some pro-Palestine ugly witch she had a flag on her face, a virtue signal there. I'll find that video and I'll play it.
Are you people dead? Are you people dead? Yes. Oh, good. Good. Are they dead? Oh, good.
God rot her. I hope she lives a long and miserable life. I hate people like that. I actually do hate people like that. How could you not hate something so hateful? Okay, till next time.